Tampa Bay Lightning have a 7-game win streak going on, and the biggest reason why, the Bolts top line is on fire. More on today's Locked On Lightning.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen of the day. Every single day, we are your free daily Tampa Bay Lightning podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we want to begin with a shout out to our everydayers, those of you who tune into every single show, every single day. We love you. We appreciate the support you give us week in, week out. I'm Nick Morgan, and I am joined by the Nirvana to my Pearl Jam, Greg Stephen. Greg, welcome in, my friend. Good to see you again after a little Thanksgiving break.
Yeah, good morning. I hope everyone had a happy and fun Thanksgiving, and we're all back on the grind now. So here we are, Monday.
Yeah, Tampa Bay Lightning also back on the grind. Big week ahead, trying to get this 7-game win streak. It's keeping the ball rolling there. We'll talk about what's gone into them this last little bit. Plus the Bolts top line. If you blinked and you missed it, they're electric right now.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon Hagel, Nikita Kucherov, all these players who are just lighting up the scoreboard. We'll talk about their play. Plus, Thanksgiving has come and gone, but the Thanksgiving break does provide a little bit of interesting insight into what teams are going to make the Stanley Cup playoffs. But that got us thinking, what is a team in the playoff picture right now that won't be there by the time the year ends? And what's a team that's outside the playoffs right now that are going to be in when the playoff season begins? Big show coming up on today's episode. Before we dive into it, want to mention today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. All right, Greg, 7-game win streak for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh, yeah.
Including back-to-back wins this weekend over the Red Wings and Rangers. The Rangers won absolutely particularly dominant. Only 13 shots on goal for the New York Rangers in this one. Yeah, Greg, I think it's safe to say we've all forgotten about that historically bad start for Tampa Bay this year.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's all out the door now, right? Two huge wins, and they just look unstoppable right now.
It's crazy to me that they are doing all of this in the midst of, I don't want to say like adversity, but in the midst of just some lineup chaos going around. Like we talked about 13 shots on goal in that Rangers game. You know, they still don't have Victor Hedman. They still don't have Ryan McDonagh. And, you know, Eric Chernak is also still out. So it's not like they're coming out here with like a full strength defense and shutting teams down. You know, Darren Raddysh is the number one defenseman on the team right now, which is insane. You know, and there's also just been a lot of roster shuffling and people coming in and out up front as well. But it's the fact that they're able to play this well and look this dominant while also having to deal with a lot of these lineup changes and a lot of these inconsistent players coming in and out of the lineup. And it really is crazy because when we sort of did our last, you know, big show before Thanksgiving, we were talking about we might have to eke through some games like that Capitals game last week where it was going to be, you know, it might not be pretty. We might be sloppy. We might get outplayed, but we need to grit it out and find a way to win. The last few games haven't been that way. The last few games have been like, you know, old school Tampa Bay Lightning possession hockey, overwhelm you with scoring and defense just without the, you know, the normal players. And I think that's what's made this most impressive, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, like half the starting D lineup is out. So just that alone is impressive. But then you look and Braden Point's out and he's, you know, one of your best players and it just doesn't even matter.
And one of your best two-way players too.
Right. It really just doesn't even matter. They have a guy for every spot, no matter who's out. They just they believe. And actually, that was a quote I saw that Coop was talking about, how they have a good vibe right now. And then it shifts to Nick Paul, and even Nick Paul said, yeah, we just all bought in now. We're all 100% in, and we know we can do this. And just that belief, I think, is what changed this whole team. And I don't know why it started 8 games in or whatever that was, but it's here now. And God, it's looking like no real team in a 7-game series is going to take this team down, except maybe the Avs to me right now.
Yeah. Well, now that you jinx that, they're going to go on like an epic losing streak. But
yeah, probably. But
yeah. Greg, I want to ask, what has been some of the things that have stood out to you most? Like, let's just say over the past week or so, like during this win streak, like what do you find most impressive about like what's going on the ice?
Well, you touched on it already. How about Darren Raddysh?
Yeah.
I don't know where it came.
How did this happen?
I don't know where it came from, but he has just looked amazing. Like, amazing. And this is kind of how I was talking about Dastu a few games back, and he still looks good, obviously, but Raddysh has really elevated his game. Let's be real. In the last like 5 to 7 games, maybe, but like really in these last 3-4 games, he's looked remarkable. Like, he looks like that guy. He's always out there. Like, put him out there. He skated 25 minutes in the Rangers game. That was the team high for the entire game. He was +3 in that game with 3 assists, by the way, and 5 shots on goal. He's like Bouchard, but he's playing defense. So,
yeah,
look, I think Raddysh has been the most impressive to me, but it's hard to say that when you have a guy like Hagel going on fire too.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is everybody's on fire right now.
Yeah, it feels like it. I think even Gage has looked really good lately. That's something that we kind of been harping on a bit, that he hasn't looked quite like what we thought he was going to be. But even Gage has looked like he's made a lot of steps forward and positionally, and he's had a lot of opportunities in the last few games, and I've really liked watching him play as well.
I think you've kind of hit it where there's just some players that we've kind of, let's call one-dimensional. Because the thing with Darren Raddysh, and he's getting hot offensively too, up to 16 points in 19 games this season, but offense was always there for him.
Yeah,
that was never the problem. He was really good offensively. It was just the defense wasn't there, to the point where, you and I had pointed out, like, John Cooper's not putting him anywhere near like any sort of defensive responsibilities. And the fact that you and I, before the season started, it's like, look, if there's a better two-way player out there, kind of like Dasto was, Darren Raddysh might be fighting for a spot in the lineup. And he was healthy scratched a lot at the start of this year, especially when Dasto came up, when Max Crozier was healthy. Like, Darren Raddysh looked like he might be fighting for a spot. So for him to step up and be the guy that's playing 25 minutes a game and going up against the other team's top players, you're thinking, what? Like, what is happening right now? This is not anything on brand. But I don't know, Greg, like, maybe that's the John Cooper, trademark, is he's willing to kind of push guys out of their comfort zone a little bit and push players to play beyond sort of what their niche is. Yeah. And you look back over the years, and isn't that how Brandon Hagel got to where we are now? Because Brandon Hagel was just like the energy guy that John Cooper kept kind of pushing and giving him more responsibility and say, I think there's more in you. Now he's doing it with Darren Raddysh.
Yeah, absolutely. This is another thing we talked about in the past. I talked about it specifically with Lilleberg, but healthy scratching is such a great move as a coach in certain situations. And I think it's really had a good effect on Raddysh. I think, like you said, not as like a threat, like, you're fighting for a spot, but more just like, let's sit back, let's reevaluate, take a look at your game, and let's come back and be a better player. And I think that's happened for him so far. Yeah.
I also want to point out your boy Lilleberg has looked great too.
Yeah, he's looked a lot better for sure. 100%. And he's taken off far fewer penalties. So that's like the biggest area I had with him as an issue. But yeah, in recent history, he's done a great job.
Yeah, I think you can go up and down this lineup and see guys that you want to step up, that you want more from, that are doing it, and they're carrying him during this streak, especially the top line, Greg.
Mm.
It is absolutely absurd what Nikita Kucherov, Anthony Cirelli, Brandon Hagel, and Jake Guentzel have been doing during this 7-game win streak. Wait until we dive into some of these numbers. You guys are going to be floored by what they've been doing.
Yeah.
We'll get into it coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by Drip Drop. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, energy, mood, even my skin. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's a doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands, using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. I love using Drip Drop as part of my morning routine. All I do is grab a packet, grab my water bottle, dump them in together, shake it up, and I am good for the day. I always beat my midday slump. Hydration has become such a non-negotiable for me. Drip Drop helps me feel sharper, calmer, and honestly, just better overall. If you want to try it yourself, listen up. Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. All you have to do is go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL. Again, that's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 20% off. So stock up now and keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop. We're back on Locked on Lightning. Nick Morgan alongside Greg Steven. And Greg, biggest reason to me why the Lightning have just been on fire lately have been the Lightning's big 4 scorers right now. Nikita Kucherov. Boy, we kind of raked him over the coals a little bit at the beginning of the year. Like, we obviously weren't getting what we sort of normally got from Kucherov. You and I both had a few shows where we called him out. Either, focus or the energy wasn't quite there to begin the season. If you blinked and missed it, Nikita Kucherov is now in the top 10 in NHL scoring. And listen to this, Greg. 5 consecutive multi-point games, a 9-game point streak, 18 points in his past 9 games. This is the Nikita Kucherov that won the Art Ross 2 years in a row. I think it's safe to say he's on the ice right now.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And it's mind-blowing how big of a turn his game took from the beginning of the season. And he leads the Lightning with 32 right now. Most assists by, I think, 8. I think Guentzel has 13, so he is 21. He's doing what he does best. He's making plays, and sometimes he's scoring goals, but really he's making plays. And that means setting up Hagel, setting up Cirelli, setting up whoever's there. But he's making the plays that he needs to make now, and it's winning games, like you said.
Yeah. And to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this maybe is the most important piece for the Tampa Bay Lightning to have success, especially with everybody's out, because there's players that can step up. You guys can grind out, I would say, like, good defensive performances. You can get good goaltending. Good scoring is hard to represent. And for me, if Nikita Kucherov is playing at full strength, that is somebody that the rest of the NHL just can't stop. I mean, if you look at he is McDavid level. Like, he is on Connor McDavid's level for the past, 3-4 seasons. That's not hyperbole. That's what the numbers say.
Yeah.
And to have somebody like that who's over to overwhelm whoever he's playing is, to me, the biggest golden ticket for success in the NHL. It's not the end all be all. Just look at the Edmonton Oilers right now. But I think it is, if you have that going for you, if everything else is solid, you're going to win these games. And I think, to me, Greg, that's been the biggest thing that the Lightning have needed during this stretch, has been Nikita Kucherov.
Yeah, completely agree with you. He's the guy that makes this whole team flow. And it doesn't even matter who's on the receiving end of the pass. He's going to make an insane pass, and it's going to be a great enough pass that you're going to convert because that's what he does. And yeah, I think, like you said, you need that from him. He is the lifeblood of this team right now. And I actually saw an interview this past weekend between Crosby and McKinnon, and McKinnon talks about how Cooch is his favorite player to watch. And Crosby's like, why? I don't understand. McKinnon says, my game is so...
Don't understand.
He's like, what do you mean? No, McKinnon talks about how like his game is very choppy and he's very effective playing choppy. But when he watches Kucherov, he says he's flowing. He's so smooth. Everything he does is so calculated. Looks like so natural, no matter what kind of play he's making, whether it's a backhander, a no-looker, whatever. It's just clean. It looks smooth and natural. It's less like grindy, choppy, like McKinnon's game. And, you know, to hear McKinnon say that he loves watching Cooch because it's just like a different greatness is awesome, because McKinnon is leading the league in points right now. Let's not kid ourselves. You know, he's his own guy. So to hear him even say that is cool to listen to. Like, I like listening to some of the top guys talk about Kucherov as well, because they all recognize how different he really is.
Yeah, and it's good to see him kind of get that respect across the league as well, because that's sort of our thing, was we don't think he gets a lot of respect amongst the media, amongst the fan base. It is really cool to hear other players kind of give Nikita Kucherov his flowers and just recognize how good he is.
Right.
You know, you mentioned you had a line. It's like, it doesn't necessarily matter who Nikita Kucherov is passing to because he's going to set them up.
Yeah.
I will say it helps when those players are Brandon Hagel, Jake Guentzel, and lately Anthony Cirelli.
Yes.
Because they have been on fire as well. Brandon Hagel, we did a whole show last week about how hot he's been. He did not slow down since that show aired, Greg.
No, he did not.
5-game goal streak going on right now, 12 points in his last 5 games. And as we mentioned, he's been on a hot streak even before this last 5 as well. Jake Guentzel, points in 11 of his past 14 games. He's got 11 in his last 8. And Anthony Cirelli, we know Anthony Cirelli is not a guy that's going to, you know, rack up 100 points or overwhelm you, but he's obviously been the number 1 center, I think, for a long time this season.
Yes.
Both, you know, before and after the point injury, and he's plus 10 in the last 5 games, which tells you, you know what, at least he's on the ice for key moments. At least he's, you know, setting plays up more than he's getting beat. So all of these guys are just hitting their stride at once right now.
They are. And like you said, with Cirelli specifically, put him out there. I don't care what the situation is. He's going to play great defense, and he's going to get some points too. Yeah, he's not 100-pointer like you said, but he's still going to notch a few, especially when he plays with guys like Hagel and Cooch. Yeah. And now going to Hagel, I mean, what did he start with? 1 assist in 7 games, if I'm not mistaken, I think is what it was.
He had 1 point in his first 7 games, and it was an assist.
And now he leads the Lightning with 15 goals, which, wow, impressive. And then you look at the assist list, and he's tied for 4th with Hedman. Just remarkable. Really, he is more than what I would have ever guessed when we acquired him as a team. And last year, I think we really saw him take a massive step forward. Then you see the beginning of the season, you get a little concerned, and then he does this, and you say, okay, yeah, he figured it out. So I have no concern over Hagel. I mean, I was slightly concerned at the beginning, but now I'm never doubting him again.
I feel like it's unfair to him, because it's always, you know, when you kind of get that random player who steps up and, you know, starts scoring all these goals, all these points. It's like, that's cool. When is the bottom going to fall out? Like, when is he going to be like taken off somebody's line and then just be like a middle? Like, when is he going to be like Brian Bickle or, you know, James Neal or somebody like that, where if you're not playing with Crosby, you're not going to get 40 goals.
Exactly.
You know, I feel like a lot of people were kind of thinking that with Brandon Hagel. It hasn't happened. In fact, Brandon Hagel, since I would say maybe like 2023 was like his first year where people were like, I think there's maybe a little bit more to Brandon Hagel's game right now. Mm-hmm. Ever since that, he's just gotten better and better every year. Like, I think now it is safe to us to say, like, this is what Brandon Hagel is. Like, this scoring machine, this just dynamo on the wing. That to me is the Brandon Hagel default at this point.
Yes, completely agree with you. And he has become a superstar on this team. He really has. And I will 100% give him that. I think he deserves it. And he's helping carry this team right now. I'd say just as much as Kuch. So yeah, and let's not throw anything else by the side. I mean, Vasi's looked great too. He's looked awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And the defense with all the guys stepping up, everyone's playing well right now. But yeah, to highlight Kuch and Hagel is very important.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you for shouting out Vasi too, because we called him out on a show a few weeks ago. And since then,
yeah,
no concerns, I think, with Andrei Vasilevskiy in this most recent stretch.
None. Absolutely dialed in.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of dialed in, there are some teams around the NHL that are dialed in for the playoffs right now. There's a big stat about the state of the NHL standings and Thanksgiving. So now that we're on the other side of the Thanksgiving break, it's a good time to look at which teams are in the playoffs, which teams are going to probably be locked in, and what teams on the outside are going to come in and make a run. All that coming up next on Locked on Lightning. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. Just one big play and suddenly the whole game feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment in so many different ways. The live spreads and money lines adjust instantly to every big play. Player props update as guys heat up. And you can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. So it keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Again, that's FanDuel. The game moves fast, and so can you. We're back on Locked on Lightning. Nick Morgan here, alongside Greg Steven. And Greg, it is a kind of a recent commonplace thought that since the NHL moved to the new playoff format back in 2014, which is the playoff format we have now, there's been an interesting stat among the NHL standings in Thanksgiving. Around roughly 75% of NHL teams who are in the playoffs right now on American Thanksgiving will wind up making the playoffs, which is kind of a wild stat when you think of just how fluid the standings are and how little hockey we've played so far in the grand scheme of things. But
yeah,
as it states, 75% of the NHL teams who are in are going to be in. Number one, that's crazy to me.
It is.
Number two, it is a good indicator of where we are. So what we thought we would do today, take a look at a little if the playoffs ended today picture and talk about a team that's in the playoffs right now who we think are not going to be in the playoffs back in April. And we're going to look at a team that's outside the picture right now that we're pretty sure are going to make it to the postseason.
Okay.
So, Greg, let's start with the East right now. If the playoffs ended today, the matchups would be Tampa Bay Lightning, number one seed in the entire East.
Yes.
Go us. Taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins in round one. You would have the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the other wildcard team, the Philadelphia Flyers. You would have Boston Bruins taking on Montreal Canadiens out of our division.
Yep.
And you would have the New Jersey Devils taking on the Washington Capitals. Is there any team, Greg, in those playoff matchups that you're willing to just slap your hand on the table today and say they're not going to be in April?
I'm going to go with the Boston Bruins.
Interesting. Why?
Yeah, it is interesting. I think what they've done so far has been impressive for all the changes they've had in the last year. And I absolutely, give them credit for where they are thus far. That being said, I still think the team is fairly mediocre on paper. They're only 15-12. It's not like a fantastic record by any means. They only have 30 points. I think Crosby has looked elite this season. I think he'll carry the Penguins beyond the Bruins. I think even the Senators will climb their way out. The Wings will climb their way out a little bit. There's just too many teams right on that cusp where, right on that 30 marker right now, that to convince me that the Bruins will make it, to be honest with you. I just think a lot of the teams right there within a game are actually better teams, and I think the Bruins will end up falling out.
Yeah, they've got a lot of players that are kind of performing above, like Morgan Geekie. Not Connor, who I keep confusing. 20 goals so far this season. But you also look up and down the lineup, and like David Pasternak's 29 points and a -8. So it's kind of like, what exactly is going on?
And I believe he just got injured as well.
Did he? Oh, I missed that.
Could be mistaken.
I was in I was in non-hockey brain. Like as soon as that Rangers game ended, I was like, I'm traveling. I'm on tryptophan.
Yeah, I get it. No, he is injured, by the way. And also McAvoy got injured. That's a huge loss.
Yeah.
So just those two being down that's a tough thing to navigate as the Bruins in my eyes.
That is a tough one. Yeah, I might change my answer to that. What I was going to say was I know you're a big Crosby guy, and I know it's a kind of amazing that he hasn't fallen off yet. But to me, I'm going to go Pittsburgh Penguins here.
Okay.
It's to me, I love what they've done so far, and it's kind of in the same vein as in the Bruins, where I'm a little impressed with the sort of the ratio of what they've done versus sort of what they had coming into the season. Like obviously you have Crosby, Malkin, you still have Chris Letang, you still have Erik Karlsson. Those are some good players, but maybe not outside of Sidney Crosby. Maybe all of them are pale in comparison to where they were a few years ago, or in the prime of their careers. And beyond that, they didn't have a lot of other help. And so to me, I think that was kind of the easy, like, to me, I think he even had like Pittsburgh like in my bottom tier of teams.
Yeah.
When the season started. So I kind of was all out on Pittsburgh. I'm impressed with what they've done so far. I think it's safe to say that they're not going to be like the trash team that I thought they were going to be. I just don't think they have enough depth to get through some of these crucial stretches. If they do, this isn't hyperbole, but you have to look at Crosby for MVP.
Oh yeah.
If they do, but I don't know. I'm leaning Pittsburgh as my team out.
Fair enough. I think that's totally valid. That you're right. Their depth is not fantastic by any means, but yeah, I just with Crosby has 27 points.
Yeah.
He's not young anymore. He's just kind of putting the team on his back, and just I have a hard time rooting against guys like that.
Yeah, he's pretty good. All right, so give me a team for the East that's on the outside looking in right now that you think is going to make it.
I'm going to go with the normally I would say the Panthers or the Leafs, right? But it's such an interesting season. Yeah. I think I'm going to go with the Red Wings. I think the Red Wings are going to make it. I think they've looked really sharp. Obviously they fell to the Lightning. I think they need to clean up a little bit defensively. Pretty bad plus minuses over there on that roster right now. But other than that, they can score goals, and they've been getting some pretty good goaltending, better than I kind of thought they were going to get. I just think, with Larkin and Raymond, they got a pretty solid squad over there. And Kane even looks good. He's just like Crosby to me, Kane has just been a unit as well. So yeah, I think they make it 100%.
Yeah, he hasn't slowed down. I'm with you. I think the Red Wings are going to make things certainly interesting by the end of the season. I can't pick against the Florida Panthers here.
So you're picking them?
I'm picking the Florida Panthers. Yeah.
Nice.
Look, they're kind of right where you would look, they're obviously, if you're a Panthers fan, I assume you would want them to be like in the top 3 right now, but
right.
losing all the players they have, like losing Kachuk, losing Barkov, you know, and some other key injuries, and to be only 4 points out ahead of, I think Kachuk's going to be back, probably in a month or so.
Right.
And that's going to be a big turning point. I think the big thing for them is just stay within striking distance while these players are out. And if you can do that, you're going to make a run and probably get in. So I got Florida.
Nice.
All right. Let's look at the West real quick. So the teams in right now for the Western Conference, you have Colorado leading the league. They would take on the Chicago Blackhawks in round one. You would have the Anaheim Ducks leading the Pacific Division, Greg, taking on the Seattle Kraken, who are the number one wild card team.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would have the Dallas Stars taking on the Minnesota Wild and the Los Angeles Kings taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Who, if you're the LA Kings, you're just thankful that the Edmonton Oilers are not anywhere near that conversation.
Yeah, right.
Which team would you have out of the playoff picture?
It's the Kraken for me in this right now. I don't think they hold this position terribly longer. I think that they're not going to make it. And they have the worst differential of the playoff teams in the West as well. So, I don't think the Kraken make it. I don't have actually even a doubt in my mind. I think there's no way.
I'm with you 100% there. I guess like the only other team I would say like maybe is Chicago.
Yeah.
But it's hard to pick against Chicago, and it's hard to pick against Anaheim because I feel like they have proven they're ahead of schedule. And I know Anaheim slipped a little bit lately, but Leo Carlsson is in the top 5 in scoring right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, you have like other guys like Beckett Seneke who have stepped up. Just
Troy Terry's looked great.
Troy Terry is looking good. Just a lot of guys up and down the lineup. And I'll say the same thing about Chicago is look, Bedard, this is the best season so far that he's had. And he's stepping up. And I think players around him are stepping up. And I think that's the biggest thing to me too. So I'm on both teams bandwagon right now. So sure. I'm not on Seattle's bandwagon. That's fallen off really quickly. Okay, give me a team outside the playoffs right now who you think are going to be in.
Real answer, the Oilers, but my answer is going to be the San Jose Sharks because my boy Celebrini's carrying this team into the playoffs. You know it. He's coming in hot. They got Reeves out there protecting him. They got Askarov playing some great goalie. I think the Sharks make it. I think they take wild card too.
Yeah, I want that to happen. I would love to see the Sharks. It's not going to happen this year. Not going to happen this year. I'm sorry. Look, the Oilers are a really good scoring team. The second best scoring team in the Western Conference, who are abysmal defensively and in terms of goaltending. Record bad goaltending.
Yeah.
If they can get that fixed, they're in easily. The other team I'm watching is I'm just going to throw the Winnipeg Jets up there.
Yeah.
I saw them this past weekend in Nashville when I went down to visit my family for Thanksgiving. They, even without some key people, they're starting to come back. They're getting good enough goaltending from their backup, but we know that, when Connor Hellebuyck comes back, it's going to be a bit of a game changer. So I think Winnipeg's too good to leave out of that picture.
Yeah, I'm with you for sure. I think it's interesting how good the Ducks are because I think they've really taken a spot from one of the teams that we would normally see there. So one team that I think we're used to seeing in the playoffs is not going to quite get in this year.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And if you're the LA Kings, you're hoping it's the Edmonton Oilers to
avoid
matchup for like the 8th year in a row.
And final thought, both the conferences, are so close. Just within what, like, even the Sabres only have 20. They're only at 24. Like that's 3 wins out of the wild card, right? So everyone is in this except Nashville and probably Calgary.
Yeah. Oh God, Nashville's so bad.
Yeah.
So
horrible.
Bad. Yeah. And watch them make the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Stamkos puts up 40 goals somehow.
Yeah. Oh, if he can score at this point, I don't know if that's possible. Like let us know your thoughts. If you're watching us on YouTube, drop us a comment. Let us know who you think is going to be a team that's in the playoffs that is going to fall out, and a team that's out of the playoffs right now that's going to be in by the time the playoffs actually start. We'd love to hear from you. Big week ahead for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Some key games, including the Islanders tomorrow. We'll be back with a preview of that game, plus a lot more coming up this week. That's going to do it for us on today's Locked On Lightning. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Back with a new episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.